What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again with another Man City video where today we're going to be doing a transfer update. We're hitting the international break now, so a good chance that whilst things are pretty quiet, we could start speaking about transfers, especially ahead of the January transfer window, which another month ticks along now. We've just got to get through October, November and December, and then we'll hit the January transfer window. So we've got some contract news to speak about. We've got the very latest on Savinho, and what we're speaking about in my last transfer update about Savinho being set to sign a new contract at Manchester City, that has now been made official. Officially signed a new contract with City to keep him at the club until 2031, rather than his previous contract, which was to keep him at the club until 2029. So it's a 2-year extension to his current deal, or a brand new 6-year contract. He was heavily linked with a move to Tottenham Hotspur this summer, but now it seems the time for Savinho to start kicking on with Manchester City instead. I imagine that there has been a wage increase from his £50,000 a week wages that he was on. We're still waiting on further details on this deal in terms of the finances, and also if there's a release clause that's been put into this contract. As far as I'm aware, as of right now, there's nothing that's been reported about a release clause, so I don't believe, as it stands right now, that there is a release clause in this new contract. So I don't think this no release clause in this new contract is going to put potential suitors off, because all this deal does really for Man City, other than Savinho getting more money per week, is Manchester City have maximised Savinho's value. 6 years is a heck of a long time, and it would take a whopping offer now for Manchester City to sell Savinho to Tottenham Hotspur if they're interested in January or in the next summer transfer window, or any other club as well. They do have the other end here, where some argue that Savinho hasn't earned his contract at Manchester City and he's not done enough to warrant a new contract, and some will argue that a risk has been taken here by Manchester City, because if Savinho doesn't end up really kicking on and he's not the quality that City are looking for, you end up being stuck with a player who's going to be here for another 6 years. And we do tend to give out lengthy contracts, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and when it doesn't work out, it does have some problems, including I look towards Jack Grealish, Calvin Phillips on big wages, whereas Savinho, what's important here, £50,000 a week in particular, with interest coming in from other Premier League teams, it's not going to be very costly for other Premier League teams that can afford £50,000 a week. So what will be really interesting here is getting details of this finances and just how much Savinho now is on, because I imagine when Spurs were speaking with Savinho, they were probably willing to double, maybe even triple his wage. So is Savinho now on £150,000 a week at City? What's it looking like in terms of him working up his pay scale? Because that, for me, will give me the answer about just how easy or difficult it would be when it comes to a potential sale of Savinho at any point in the future, if that is to happen. What I want to happen is Savinho to really kick on, be a fantastic player, continues to sign new contracts, continues to work his way up the pay scale, and he's a fantastic player for Manchester City. We're still waiting for that to happen. He's still a young lad. You've got to give him time. It's got to have patience there. You know, it's going to take, I always say, it's always going to take at least a couple of seasons. For a player so young, you're probably looking at 2 or 3 seasons before you can have a real good judgment about just how good that player is going to be. And Savinho now into his 2nd season. This is a really big season for Savinho, and this is the season where I'd be looking for him to really kick on, because if he doesn't start to kick on, I can imagine Man City maybe being interested in a sale in the summer transfer window. And what we've done here is maximise his value. This summer, when we were maybe interested in selling him, 4 years on his contract. Next summer, if we're interested in selling him, 5 years on his contract. And that 5 years on his contract is going to help get Manchester City, you would think, somewhere between £10 and £20 million more than what we could have asked for last summer. So we've maximised Savinho's value. Got to invest a bit of money in terms of increasing his wages, but sometimes you've got to invest money and you've got to spend money to make money. So that's the business sense here from Man City. And I do feel like this contract is very much business related rather than football related. We'll see what does happen. Congratulations, though, to Savinho, getting a new contract. As I said, I'm hoping it works for him at City, and I hope he starts to kick on and he starts to grab lots of goals and lots of assists and starts showing that form that we saw Savinho have at City's sister club at Girona when he was on loan there from Estac Trois. So hopefully we can start to see that pay dividends to City because, you know, for an unproven, very young player, we paid a lot of money, over £30 million for him. So hopefully we can get that return. We'll see what does happen. Now moving on to the out, I've got the very latest on Matheus Nunes, and Nicola Schira over in Italy has said that Napoli have asked a question to Manchester City about Matheus Nunes. Schira has said that talks have taken place between Napoli and Matheus Nunes' agent George Mendes. Napoli like that Matheus Nunes is versatile and they're interested because of that reason. He's only 27 years old, surprisingly. I feel like Matheus Nunes has been around forever. 27 years old, very much in his prime. He's got 3 years left on his contract. By the time we head into next summer, presume we are looking here at a summer transfer rather than a winter transfer. If no new contract is signed, then Matheus Nunes would have 2 years left on his contract. So it would be an important thing for City really to start thinking about that right-hand side of defence and what they want to do with Matheus Nunes. Because if you are contemplating a sale, realistically, you want to be doing that with players having at least 2 years left on their contract. So it allows us to get a good amount of money to go out and bring a replacement in. City did sign Matheus Nunes from Wolverhampton Wanderers in 2023 for a deal worth £53 million all in. How much would City be able to accumulate back? I can't see Napoli being happy paying £53 million. We'll see what does happen. Matheus Nunes, though, he's a good player, real good squad player, a good option for City to have for his versatility. And I don't think I'd sell Matheus Nunes for cheap if I was in charge. Anyway, moving on, we've got the latest on Bernardo Silva, and Bernardo Silva had confirmed before Man City's Champions League game against AS Monaco away from home last week that he's now decided what he's going to do with his future, but he's not going to reveal what that decision is. He said that he's only focused on Manchester City right now, and he's focused only on this season. So, firstly, read between the lines and read into that what you will. For me, sounds very much like he's decided on what he wants to do. If there's a new contract there, then that new contract would be signed and it would be announced. The fact that he's already made his decision tells me he's decided that he's going to leave, and him remaining coy on his future tells me that, again, you're not going to get any details about Bernardo Silva until much later into the season. See what happened when Ilkay Gundogan first left Manchester City. That kind of thing is going to happen here, I think, with Bernardo Silva. And my expectation right now is Bernardo Silva will leave Manchester City next summer for 3. If anything changes, of course, I will keep you guys up to date. Interesting comments, though, made by the man Bernardo Silva. Now, moving on to the ins, got a quick update on Jules Kounde because we're speaking about him in the daily summer transfer updates. And Deco over at Barcelona has confirmed that Man City did indeed ask them the question about Jules Kounde this summer, but Barcelona were very quick to respond and say no to Manchester City and let City know that he isn't for sale. No proposals, no offers, no talks took place. It was just a question asked by Man City to Barcelona about Jules Kounde, with Barcelona giving a very simple and straight answer to Manchester City that he's not for sale, it's not happening, and Man City have gone, okay, fair enough, we'll move on. So that's Jules Kounde's update. Now, moving on to the final transfer of this update, I want to speak about Michael Olise. And BILD over in Germany have been reporting some interesting things. So they've said that Liverpool, Manchester City and Chelsea are all keen on taking Michael Olise from Bayern Munich. Now, the winger has been valued at more than €100 million. In today's currency exchange rate, we're looking at just over £87 million. The 23-year-old English-born French international, he's got 4 years left on his contract at Bayern Munich. Liverpool are thought to be the most keen right now, but interestingly, Olise is a right winger predominantly. So if he's been linked with a move to Liverpool, firstly, what on earth does that mean for Mohamed Salah? Second of all, Man City could well be in the market in the summer transfer window for next summer when it comes to a potential right winger. We were getting heavily linked with a move for Rodrigo from Real Madrid this summer. That didn't materialise. Because Man City kept hold of Savinho. He's just signed a new contract. City have maximised his value, and the interest in Savinho from other clubs, including Tottenham Hotspur, is still there. So if Tottenham Hotspur are prepared to spend big on Savinho, and Savinho asks for a transfer away from City, which never happened this summer, but he was interested in a move to Tottenham Hotspur, then I can see Manchester City looking at alternatives and wanting a right winger, which is why I think City are keeping an eye on scouting and being linked with a move for Michael Olise. City have probably already put some feelers out there and asked some questions about what are things looking like in terms of Olise's happiness in Germany, what are things looking like in terms of a potential contract, and what we're looking at in terms of a potential transfer fee. City will get the ball rolling outside of the transfer window, because transfers don't just happen during the transfer window. You know, you've got to get all your information gathered before you then want to execute making a move for a player. And that's what City have done here, it's what Liverpool have done here, it's what Chelsea have done here. Probably lots of clubs across Europe are doing this, in particular for a player as good as what Michael Olise is. I just find it really interesting that he's been linked with a move away from Bayern Munich. He's doing very well at Bayern Munich, and I can certainly think of much worse options than Olise returning back to the Premier League and signing for Manchester City. So I'd love to know your thoughts of that, guys, in the comments below. Savinho, if the interest continues and he does leave Man City by next summer, Michael Olise to replace him? What are your thoughts? Do let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up on today's transfer update. That would be much appreciated. We're aiming for 200 likes. Do also subscribe if you're new around here. Press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. It is free to subscribe. Social media links there in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram, and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships or any videos or any general business inquiries. And I'll see you all again real soon for the next City video. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.